Bob Iger is, what do the kiddies say? Casting shade? Throwing shade at Bob Chapek. Basically
the
saying,
oldest thing you've ever said.
He said, no cat. No chat.
Ye casteth thine shade at
those youths
me.
and their
the
shade.
youths, the kiddies.
Throwing-
Hello, fellow kiddies.
Asking you to get under umbrellas or something. I don't know what they're doing. It's little shits.
Bob Iger is not talking very promisingly about his hand-picked successor, Bob Chapek. Of course, Bob Chapek, you guys remember, a little over 3 years ago, took over as CEO for Disney and all of a sudden started doing a lot of shady shit that Bob Iger never wanted him to do. And, put the company on a course for being run into the ground, the effects of which we're still feeling and will still continue to feel, probably for at least the next year or so. Anyway, well, speaking at a conference, Bob Iger was directly asked about how he looks back at, Chapek's running the company. And he said this. This comes to us from Fox Business, who writes this. I was disappointed in what I was seeing, said Bob Iger, both during the transition period when I was still there as chairman of the board and while I was out. But I really worked hard at distancing myself from it because I couldn't do anything about it. In a way, it wasn't my business at all, really. It was his business to run, he said during the interview. Again, I was not happy with what I was seeing. Well, obviously not. I worked hard to build the company into what it was over that period, a long period of time. I was proud of those accomplishments. It hurts when something that you've put in your heart and soul into and you care about so much is going through difficult times. Anyway, it goes back on to talk about it. He's gone through, he's been trying to fix a lot of problems. Disney stock is up 6.5% since he took back over, all this kind of stuff. Now, what cannot be lost in all of this, and I'm sure part of the reason why it's particularly hurtful for Bob Iger, is the fact that the one thing you can't get away from was Bob Chapek was his pick. He picked Bob Chapek. He was his choice to succeed him as CEO.
He was the chosen one.
You were the chosen one. Yeah. It was his call. And then to sit back and you got to imagine all the probably days and evenings that he spent talking with Chapek about I'm thinking about giving you this job. What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden Bob Chapek comes in and does exactly the opposite of a lot of things he probably told Bob Iger he was going to do. He tore away the foundational power structure of Disney, took all the power away from the creative people, instilled new layers of middle management to be overseen and governed by his banker friends. He took the decision-making power away from guys like Kevin Feige and other studio heads about what content they're allowed to make and then where that content's going to go. And then they could be told what content you need to make. We need more Disney Plus stuff. And as we read in that press release that the new Bob Chapek-led Disney put out when Bob Chapek took over, they said, yeah, we're doubling down on Disney Plus. Like Bob Iger started Disney Plus, had a vision for it, but we think everything should be Disney Plus, and we're going to double down on that and go crazy. And it's caused a lot of problems. Now, here they are. Now, thankfully, year to date, their stock has started to recover a little bit, but it's still not what it used to be. A lot of work to be done. Bob Iger also saying definitively 100%, 2026, he's stepping down for the last time. Only this time, they're going to be a lot more careful about who they select to come in and be the CEO after him, to make sure they keep following the roadmap that they are laying out now and not all of a sudden deciding to take a harsh left turn. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Rocket Money. Do you struggle to save money every month? With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify all those sneaky subscriptions that keep charging you month after month and cancel any you no longer use. For example, did you know that over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about? It's too easy to subscribe to a free trial of something and then completely forget about it once you stop using it. That's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money. I've told you guys before that when I started using Rocket Money, I realized that I was still subscribed to a gym in another city I had moved away from 2 years ago. Also, my music music service? Yeah, I found out I was still subscribed to 2 others. How much do you think you're paying a month on subscriptions? Most people think they're paying $80 a month, but they're actually paying closer to $200. That's why I use Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel the ones you don't want with just the press of a button. With over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has helped save its customers on an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. Chris, it's not often, if ever, that we have heard Bob Iger, who on top of being the businessman that he is a brilliant diplomat. He's great at diplomacy for the most part. For him to actually come out and, well, talk smack about, what Bob Chapek did. I'm sure he probably feels pretty personally hurt by some of the things that happened there. Mm-hmm. What did you take away from his statements, and what do you think about him speaking out about it now?
Well, diplomatic isn't the word of the year for Bobby, is it? I mean, if you're an actor or if you're Bob, he's going to come for you. You're either disappointing him, saying something that's disturbing, or you're disappointing him. So, all the D words with Papa Bob here. I have to bring up, too, because we always do kind of have to give Chapek a little bit of grace because he was CEO during a pandemic. Yep. He had to deal with a lot of things there. And also, Bob Iger was still executive chairman for 22 months when he left. He still had a lot of creative control. So when he says he distanced himself from things, okay.
Well, I mean, he stayed out of Bob Chapek's way. He let Chapek do what a CEO is supposed to do, which is run the company.
To an extent, but it still was also like a CEO in trainers, like with the little training wheels on. Yeah, like he didn't get to fully be a CEO for a while. He didn't even get the office, right? CNN did a big story on this a couple months ago. So I understand him saying this, and also that he needs to start laying the groundwork of having a better succession plan this time. Because we know he has the heart out in 2026. That's just around the corner. And he was so sure and steadfast in who he chose last time.
Yeah.
So fool me once, shame on us, fool me twice. Oh, Bobby, you got to do better this time. If you're going to say that all of the problems Disney has had is because of your successor, I don't feel great about you choosing your next one, honestly.
Well, guess what? Well, this time, though, he doesn't get the lone voice in choosing a successor because last time he was also chairman of the board and CEO. He relinquished the chairman of the board seat, so he is no longer chairman of the board. So now the whole board is going to be more involved in choosing a successor this time around, and hopefully they do a better job this time.
Which is the way to go, I think. I think that's a very, very smart move. And honestly, a lot of other corporations go about it that way. You vote on who the successor is going to be. That seems to make more sense. This is not an episode of Succession. We should not have people fighting for this part. We should have a bunch of level-headed people coming together to make this decision. I feel like also Bob Iger just hasn't had a ton of great press lately.
Right.
And I feel like this is also probably a great time to go, hey, but I'm better than that other guy, right?
You know what he needs to do?
I'm going to stand up to that. I'm going to stand up to that because I think during the strikes and everything, he was far more diplomatic than the unions were. Because where the unions were coming out and throwing around a lot of blatant insults, using nasty language and calling names, he came out and said, I'm disappointed in this. Or he would say, he spoke a lot more diplomatic. Let's be honest. It was a hard, dirty, lots of things at stake fight. I would not give any merit badges to the unions for how diplomatic they were during.
I can understand that, but I also think a billionaire on his yacht saying it's disturbing people asking for a living wage is an absolutely ludicrous statement.
That is not what he said. Those words never came out of his mouth.
He said it was disturbing the unions.
He said it was disturbing that they seemed to be asking for some things that were unrealistic. He never said, I think it's disturbing that they're asking for. He never said that.
It's one of the things.
And again, that's another example of diplomacy versus non-diplomacy. He never did anything like that.
All I know.
Listen, remember, it was all the studios, right? It was all the studios.
It's not personally Bob Iger.
As a matter of fact, it was really, I think everybody acknowledges it was really mostly Netflix. That was the holdup and the stick in the mud for a lot of the things there. But, I mean, listen, they still got a long way to go. I mean, they gained back 6.5% of their stock. That's great until you look at the context that they've lost a lot more than that prior to that. So they still have a big hole that they need to dig out of. And can they dig? I'm going to say right now, they can't dig all the way out of it between now and
No, they
2026.
have way too many issues. They have theme park issues. They have the ever-increasing price of streaming. They have their content failing a lot of times in theaters and online. They have so many things.
I don't think we can name a single division or branch of Disney right now that is not struggling. Because you pointed out, theme parks are struggling. I mean, we're not saying they're on death's door, but
sure.
they
No,
are
no, no.
they are having issues. Their licensing stuff is having issues. Their Star Wars stuff is having issues. Their Pixar stuff is facing challenges. Their Marvel stuff is facing challenges. Their international licensing is facing challenges. Like literally almost every single branch. I'm like, maybe one of you guys at home can point out a branch that is still right now completely healthy, but I can't think of it. They've got a lot of work to do.
But can we just admit one thing? Bob Chapek looks sweet with that beard.
Oh man, that dude,
It's
he
a good
never should have
beard.
lost
It's
the
a
beard.
good beard, man. I
love
think Iger should compete
He
in
rocked
beardness.
that beard.
I do love a retirement beard. Like when Letterman was just like, I'm going to be a mountain
yeah.
man. Let's go.
He had a good beard
I feel like
too.
that's the way to do
Yeah,
it.
but Letterman's beard went a little crazy.
Little
maybe.
wild.
Yeah, he
had
went
ZZ
Santa
Top,
Claus.
and I was here for
Yeah.
it.
But enough of this Bob
But
on Bob.
Chapek's beard was a fine beard. That was a fine beard, no doubt.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.